To use jQuery in a web page, you need to include a script tag that points to the jQuery core library. There are two ways you can do so. This is the front page of the jQuery.com website, and as you can see, there's a large download link here. Rather than use that, I'm going to suggest that you go to the download link at the top here in the menu. And this gives more details about downloading jQuery and how you can do it. One way is to use a CDN, that's a content distribution network, hosted jQuery. There are several versions. There's one hosted by Google, another one by Microsoft, and another one which is jQuery itself through the Media Temple hosting company. The advantage of using a CDN version is that it's hosted online by a third party, and visitors to your website will probably have gone to other websites that use jQuery and have already downloaded it into their browser cache, so there is no need for it to be downloaded from your website. The disadvantage of using a content distribution network is that there's a very slight possibility that the CDN might go down, but very, very slight indeed. The more important problem is that when you're developing, it means you've got to be online the whole time to test your pages. So my recommendation, at least for development purposes, is that you should download a version of jQuery to your local computer. And just down here, it's got the current release. And there are two options, minified and uncompressed. They both contain exactly the same code. The difference is that the minified version has got all the white space taken out, so it's a much smaller file. If you want to learn how jQuery works, and I warn you it is quite complicated, the internal workings of jQuery, then download the uncompressed version, which has got the code laid out in a more readable manner. But for most people, I would suggest downloading the minified version. You just click that, and it actually opens the code directly in your browser window. So go to File, and then save the page as, and save it to your local system. I've already saved it here, so I'm just going to save it again and replace it. And then it's ready for you to use in your local testing environment. So here I am in Dreamweaver with the page open, and I want to attach the jQuery library to it. In the past, the recommendation was always to put JavaScript files in the head of a document. But more recent recommendation is to put it just before the closing body tag. The reason for that is that JavaScript blocks everything else while it's being processed, so none of the rest of your web page is being downloaded while the browser is going through the JavaScript file. Now, admittedly, jQuery is pretty short, but still, it's recommended that you put it at the end of the body because you don't actually need the jQuery file until the rest of the page has loaded. So by putting it before the closing body tag, you will ensure that your pages load much more quickly. So I'm going to attach it by going to my Insert panel, and in the Common category, down there is the Script icon, and I'll go to my jQuery file and click OK. So I've now got a script tag in there which links the jQuery core library to my page, and any jQuery that I want to use either goes in an external file which is linked by another script tag immediately after that, or I can put it in the page itself. The examples that I'm going to be showing you are fairly short, so I'm going to put them directly in the page. But if you use longer jQuery files, I suggest that you link to them in an external file, putting that link or that script tag immediately after the one that links to the jQuery core library. So I'm now just going to insert a script tag here. There's no need to put the text JavaScript as Dreamweaver has done. HTML5 is quite happy with you not using that because JavaScript is now generally the only script that is used within web browsers. To use jQuery code, you need to create what is known as a document ready handler. There are a couple of ways in which you can create the document ready handler. What I'm going to show you is the shorthand way. It's the way that most people who use jQuery create the document-ready handler. And it begins with the $sign. That's a sign that you'll become very familiar with in jQuery. Then opening parenthesis and the keyword function, followed by an empty pair of parentheses, then an opening curly brace. I'll put in a couple of lines there, a closing curly brace, closing parenthesis, and a semicolon. And generally speaking, most of your jQuery code will go within that document-ready handler. Now, this is such a useful piece of code that you'll be using very often, that it's worthwhile saving as a snippet. So right-click and choose Create New Snippet. And I'll call that jQuery Document Ready Handler. I don't need to create a description for it. And actually, it's quite a good idea to cut that part and put it in the Insert After section. And then just save. And it's ready for use in the Snippets panel whenever you need to use a jQuery Document Ready Handler. So to start using jQuery, you need to download the jQuery core library, attach it to your page, and create a document-ready handler.